What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Triple Z. I'm your host, Isaiah Henry. I have three bold predictions for the upcoming 2025-2026 NBA season. Let's get straight into it. Number 3, the Portland Trailblazers will make the play-in with 40-plus wins. There was light at the end of the tunnel post All-Star break for the Portland Trailblazers. For a young team not having a true number one option, lack of leadership in the locker room, ranking 21st in offense, building a strong defensive identity was the only way to keep this organization from falling apart. Post All-Star break, they ranked 4th in defensive rating at 110 points per 100 possessions with a net rating of 2.6. Head coach Chauncey Billups, who signed an extension with the Portland Trailblazers this current offseason, took this young core under his wing and instilled a defensive mindset amongst their talented roster. Toumani Camara is a versatile wing defender, one of the best in the league, made an all-defensive team last season, can defend smaller guards and size up against power forwards and centers. He's picking up 94 feet, knows how to use his body, especially to draw offensive fouls. Toumani Camara led the NBA in charges drawn for the 2024-2025 NBA season with 31 total charges. Excellent at staying between ball and man, limiting touches for the opposing team's best player. He's a top-tier all-around defender in the NBA. Donovan Clingan has an opportunity to anchor the defense full-time with DeAndre Ayton being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Year 2 of Donovan Clingan's rim protection can be a staple to the Portland Trailblazers having an elite defense next season, blocking shots at the rim, brick wall defense, improving as a drop coverage defender, and handling those 2-on-1 situations. According to databaller.com, in the short sample size of 146 minutes played together, the starting five of Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, Denny Avdija, Toumani Camara, and Donovan Clingan had a defensive rating of 113.2, which would rank 13th in the league defensively. Now with Anthony Simons and Jrue Holiday swapping places, the Portland Trailblazers are much better defensively in the backcourt. Jrue Holiday isn't the same defensive player he was a couple of years ago, but in a Western Conference dominated by elite guard play, Jrue Holiday is still a great option to guard opposing teams' lead guards with his ball pressure, his physicality, versatility, and basketball IQ. Portland has a roster that's going to give teams hell defensively for 48 straight minutes, not to mention Matisse Thybulle coming off the bench and Scoot Henderson having upside defensively with his athleticism. I envision the Portland Trailblazers as a top 10 defensive team next season. I believe that's good enough to earn them a play-in spot in the Western Conference. My second bold prediction, Ivica Zubac will make his first All-Star team. Zubac put up career numbers for the LA Clippers in points, rebounds, and assists, averaging 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. I would say he was the most consistent player on that roster. Going into last season, the Clippers weren't expected to finish as a top 6 seed in the Western Conference with Kawhi Leonard missing more than half of the season, yet they shattered expectations, finishing as a 5th seed with a 50-32 record. James Harden was in control of the offense with his playmaking and scoring and being that elite system we know him to be, and doing everything in his power to hold LA together until their superstar player came back. The defense as a team was amazing, being 3rd best in the league, but Zubac having the year that he did made them a legitimate playoff team, being extremely efficient on both ends. Offensively, being that lob threat for James Harden coming off a pick and roll, making good decisions in the short roll, having reliable post-up moves when he would get a touch on the lower block, floaters, drop steps, baby hooks. Zubac was seeing multiple double teams a night because he was that much of a threat down low. If you look at the on and off numbers, they speak to how important he was to the Los Angeles Clippers. He was a plus 7.6 on the court and a minus 6.9 off the court defensively. During the second half of the season, based on the eye test and what I was seeing on the court, Ivica Zubac was playing like a top 7 center in the NBA. The production on the court couldn't be overlooked. He made second team all defense for the first time in his career, finished as a finalist for most improved player. The best thing about Ivica Zubac elevating his game was that it translated over to the postseason. Regular season, he averaged 16 and 12, and then the postseason, he averaged 17 and 10 while having to guard the best player on the planet in Nikola Jokic. That 7-game series between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets was amazing. You have Aaron Gordon having the game-winning putback dunk. Kawhi Leonard scored 39 points in Game 2, and then you had the battle between the two big mans in Nikola Jokic and Ivica Zubac going back and forth, guarding one another, doing all types of post moves on one another as well. It was amazing. Like, the Clippers are loaded up this year with a bunch of new additions of Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, John Collins, Brook Lopez. James Harden will have some off nights with his efficiency, as he gets older, and Kawhi Leonard will have some games off with his injuries and prioritizing his health. The consistency efficiency, the two-way play, and production will make Ivica Zubac a first-time All-Star in his career for the 2026 NBA season. My final bold prediction, the Denver Nuggets and the Atlanta Hawks will face off in the 2026 NBA Finals. I loved how both of these teams upgraded their roster. For Denver, they are built to win an NBA championship at this very moment. Their current roster is extremely deep, adding a volume three-point shooter in Tim Hardaway Jr., having a competent backup big in Jonas Valanciunas, having a better plug-in player in Cam Johnson rather than Michael Porter Jr., and having Bruce Brown back, a player that's familiar with his organization and that's won a championship back in 2023 with the Denver Nuggets. David Adelman, the new head coach for the Denver Nuggets, has a full season to implement his system for Denver. That system can be easy to implement when you have the best player in the world in Nikola Jokic. Making it out of the Western Conference won't be easy. OKC are the reigning champs. The Rockets found their closer in Kevin Durant. The Wolves are thirsty to make it past the conference finals. It is loaded in the Western Conference, but the way how Denver has approached this offseason, turning Michael Porter Jr., with his salary, and then getting Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, they added more depth. They added more suitable pieces around Nikola Jokic. I expect Aaron Gordon to have another great season. Jamal Murray didn't have the best postseason performance, especially in that second round against the OKC Thunder. His efficiency was down. His scoring volume was down as well. But he's heard all the chatter about, his injury. Can he stay healthy? Was the extension he got, I believe, last off season, was that too early? He's heard all the chatter, and I expect him to have a really great season for the Denver Nuggets. So that's my team to make it out of the Western Conference. And for the Atlanta Hawks, they had the best off season for any Eastern Conference team. I know Desmond Bane went to, the Orlando Magic, and the Cavaliers picked up, Lonzo Ball. Great additions, but the Atlanta Hawks getting Kristaps Porzingis, the best center to play with Trae Young. I think that duo in the pick and roll and how Kristaps Porzingis can stretch the floor and also provide interior defense, that's going to be great for Trae Young. And then picking up Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was probably, a free agent, multiple teams had their eye on. They signed him for $62 million, I believe, on 4 years. Like, that's a great deal. That's a great pickup for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who, had a career year with the Minnesota Timberwolves, averaged 12 points. We know he can defend on the other side of the ball. His ability to get downhill and, collapse defenses and make decisions, on the penetration. Like, he was really good for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And when I take a step back and look at the Atlanta Hawks, they kind of remind me of the Indiana Pacers, who went to the NBA Finals just last season. Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young, two players who can be the solar eclipse of your offense. Versatile wing players, right? Pascal Siakam and Jalen Johnson. Having bigs that can stretch the floor and, have your offense be 5 out. Miles Turner and Kristaps Porzingis. Having your three-point shooters, Aaron Nesmith, Luke Kennard, right? And then Ricochet, maybe he can have a role like Andrew Nembhard, right? With his ball handling and moving off the ball and getting to his spots. I think they're going to be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And when you take a step back and look at the entire roster, right, with Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Ricochet, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Trae Young, and Onyeka Okongwu, the Atlanta Hawks have done a great job of supporting Trae Young's strengths and minimizing his weaknesses. So when we look at his strengths, we know Trae Young is going to be one of the top players in assists. I mean, just look at the athletes and versatility around Trae Young. I expect the Atlanta Hawks to be one of the best transition teams in the NBA. They should be a top 10 in offense with their transition and three ball and all that type of stuff. But, you have Dyson Daniels, you have Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kristaps Porzingis. Like, they should just be running the floor. And Trae Young, with his court vision, his court mapping, he's going to be looking for those three-point shooters in transition. He's going to be looking for those lob threats. He's going to be looking for those cutters. He's going to be looking for those back doors. I expect them to be a very fun offense. And then for his weaknesses, Trae Young is a very small player. He's 5'10", 5'11". Surrounding him with wing players and, size and length, like, that's the perfect team around Trae Young. Dyson Daniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, like, having those, kind of wing players around Trae Young where you can kind of hide him defensively because you know Nickeil Alexander-Walker is great with his screen navigation and his ball pressure, right? Dyson Daniel finished as a top DPOY candidate, made an all-defensive team, led the NBA in steals, and then Jalen Johnson is 6'8". He's strong, he's versatile, he can defend, right? He's no slack defensively. Like Jalen Johnson before he got injured, man, he was looking like a really good two-way player. So you know, having that support system around Trae Young just gives me the mindset that they can have a run like the Indiana Pacers did last season to make it to the NBA Finals. Now, I don't expect Trae Young to, you know, have all these game winners and buzzer beaters. I don't expect that, but I do expect this Atlanta Hawks team to be very competitive in the Eastern Conference, with the Eastern Conference being weaker, with Indiana and Boston having some injuries. So the Atlanta Hawks are my pick to make it out of the Eastern Conference. So I have, Denver and the Atlanta Hawks meeting up in the NBA Finals for the 2025-2026 NBA season. Those are my bold predictions. Thank you for listening to Triple Z. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Do you agree/disagree with some of my bold predictions? I would love to hear your bold predictions down in the comment section. I appreciate you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time.